What's going on, everybody? This is the super fly guy, Trayvon Jordan.
And this is the Fly Side Flyer, Jalen Brandon.
And we collectively known as Waves and Curls, and you are listening to
Wrestling with Entertainment.
Hi, this is Billy Starks, and you're listening to Wrestling with Entertainment.
This is Little Mean Kathleen, and you're listening to Wrestling with Entertainment.
Hey, Pyromaniacs. This is the Unbreakable Shawn Phoenix, and you're listening to Wrestling with Entertainment.
Hello, and welcome to the show. It's Wrestling with Entertainment. Interviewing your favorite wrestlers every Wednesday on YouTube and Castbox. I am your host, James J., alongside Kalito Yachts and Scooter Dust. Tonight we bring you the much anticipated second part of the Unbreakable Shawn Phoenix interview. If you haven't already, go watch the first part. Don't worry, we'll wait. But if you already have, then sit back and enjoy the rest of the show. Scooter, you have a question?
I think I just had to bring this up, the fact that I share a birthday with Jeff Hardy.
Oh, cool.
You're from Pittsburgh. You're Pittsburgh through and through. I'm assuming you bleed black and yellow.
Yes and no. I do, but I don't have cable right now, so I can't watch too many sports. But I mean, yeah.
But I was gonna lead into something else. Primanti Brothers.
Yes. Wow. How do you know Primanti Brothers?
I'm a food connoisseur.
Oh, okay.
And
wow.
like we said, we do our research. We don't just ask about you as a wrestler. We like to know about the person behind the wrestler, and then
that's great. Because I can only tell the same story about how I became a pro wrestler so many times that it's like oh, okay. So yes, continue.
So how good is Primanti Brothers, and has there ever been anyone that said, "Oh, this is better than Primanti Brothers," and you just like shut them down? Because we're gonna transition into a couple of more unorthodox questions after this.
Okay. So I don't know if it's a thing, but I'm gonna play it up and say that I'm so Pittsburgh that I don't like Primanti Brothers. I'm such a snob that I don't like it.
I'm so New York that I don't like New York pizza.
Right, yeah, exactly. I am not a big food guy. I eat food to survive. I don't get cravings for stuff. I don't try new things. I get the same thing everywhere I go at this restaurant because, it's just easier that way, and I never have cravings. And it's like, cool, I know that this is good here. I'm going to get this. This place makes really good chicken fried rice. That's what I'm going to get. But Primanti Brothers, their sandwiches, they're just too greasy for me. And like if I ever have somebody in from out of town, 100% I will go. And that's pretty much the only time I go to Primanti Brothers is when there's somebody in from out of town. I'm taking them on a tour. I'm like, okay, well, we have to go here. There's another restaurant that's local called Eaton Park that I actually kind of eat more there. Well, rather get takeout there. It's closer and it's not as greasy. And like I'm a cheeseburger type guy. Like when I eat at a restaurant, so I get a cheeseburger everywhere I go. I'm not a big fan of fries on the sandwich. I'll try it every now and then I end up regretting it. But like I said, if you guys were to come to town, I'd be like, yeah, let's go to Primanti Brothers. But
the other place I was going to mention is Tesaro's.
I'm actually not familiar with that at all.
I
mean, like I said, I'm not a big food guy.
Yeah.
We have a couple pizza places called Minio's and Aiello's in Squirrel Hill, which is pretty good, which is about 15 minutes away from me. I don't get there often, but when I'm in that area, it's like, yeah, let's get pizza here. But I mean, it's just.
And now I'm genuinely interested to ask you this question: pineapple on pizza. What's your stance?
I will eat it if that's the only option. I'm like I said, I'm a very like cut and dry, black and white type guy. So like, I'm just a cheese pizza type guy. I mean, if there's pepperoni left, I'll eat pepperoni, but I prefer cheese. I never had it until high school. My graphics design teacher, or Viscom teacher, would randomly bring in pineapples and just have them with the class. And for some reason, we had pizza. And he's like, "You guys want to try pineapple on pizza?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'll give it a shot." And I was like, "Oh, this isn't bad." But like I said, if I'm at a party or whatever, and that's all that's left, I'm like, hell yeah. I'm more excited for the free food aspect than getting to save money than I am the delicious flavor. You know, it's like, it's free. What am I gonna? Oh, how dare you give me free pizza with pineapple on it?
You
Yeah,
know,
I mean, consider what you've been through. You're like, fuck being picky. I'm gonna get it all.
I'm just a cheap guy.
I just
Hey,
look at
that
the menu
too.
and go, okay.
continuing on the the Pittsburgh theme. I always felt like Pittsburgh was like a super underrated city for wrestling. We always talk about New York, Philly, Chicago. We never talk about Pittsburgh. So what can you
No,
tell us about Pittsburgh wrestling?
Pittsburgh doesn't get a lot of attention in a lot of stuff because it's not a major city. It's not as big as New York City. It's not as big as Chicago. It's not as big as LA. It's not as but I mean, it's a big city. I mean, like compared to Lexington, Kentucky, compared to Buffalo. But Pittsburgh is actually very important for pro wrestling with studio wrestling and Bruno Sammartino being
Absolutely.
he moved to Pittsburgh. But a lot of the studio wrestling would like that's so old school that all those guys are so iconic. Bruno Sammartino, Dominic DeNucci, Hurricane Hunt, just so many guys that really pioneered everything. And then you had guys that because that's essentially, other than New York and the South, it was Pittsburgh and New York as far as I know. You would have guys travel to Pittsburgh to wrestle. And then you got guys like George the Animal Steel, who wasn't from Pittsburgh, but trained in Pittsburgh, and that's how he got the name Steel, because of the Steel City. Mick Foley trained in Pittsburgh. Shane Douglas is from Pittsburgh and trained Mick Foley. Kurt Angle, obviously.
Right.
Then even somebody who I really idolized as a kid, who now is a friend of mine, I didn't realize trained in Pittsburgh, was Paul London, who went to Duquesne University specifically to train with Shane Douglas. Mike Quackenbush, is a buddy of mine who I learned who went to college out here in Pittsburgh so he could work out here in NWA East, which is PWX, which is where I trained. And like I'm sure there's so much more. There's the Batman iconic wrestler. There's Ringside Rosie people would talk about. There's Jumpin' Johnny DeFazio, ton of guys. And then you have like the new generation. Like I've trained with Elias, Corey Graves was from IWC.
That's right.
He was one of the big heels, and he had a tattoo shop, and I was the first fan that ever went there because I had body piercings, and I was like, "Oh, cool, what's up, Sterling?" He's like, "You're the first fan to ever come." His brother Sam Adonis was a huge mega heel in Mexico. He lives in Pittsburgh now. Who else do we have that is currently making waves?
I've actually been to Pittsburgh. I went a number of years ago. I stayed at the Omni for a music therapy conference. I wasn't too thrilled on the city because it was like the fancy hotel, and then as soon as like you walked a block, there was unfortunately somebody sitting up against the wall with a blanket.
Yeah, I mean, with a lot of major cities, you will run into a homeless problem, and that's a little bit too political for me to get on a pedestal right now.
I'm not criticizing it. It was
it's unfortunate.
It's disheartening to see. Oh, I'm staying in this big fancy hotel.
Yeah.
It's just. But I mean, the fact that it's if there's any city that compares to New York, it's Pittsburgh because it's compact. It's literally a major metropolitan burg confined to almost its own island.
Yeah, right.
So
No.
And as far as football, me being in Memphis, there's only two teams that are actually that people care about in Memphis. You either and it splits in the middle with my family. My mom and dad became Dallas Cowboy fans. My mom's uncle, which is my great uncle, they're all Steeler fans. So Memphis, and it's crazy, because in the South, they really didn't have any football teams. Like the Falcons came in like the 70s, the Titans came in the 90s. So, and then Carolina came in the 90s. But on TV, it was either Dallas or Pittsburgh. So you had to either pick one of those teams. So that's why you see a swath of Steeler fans in the South.
Yeah, they're everywhere.
Because,
it's insane.
But yeah, I just thought that was a cool observation about the Steelers.
Yeah. One of the cool things about Pittsburgh is I actually learned this later in life that we're very rare that all of our sports teams are black and gold. I thought every city was like that. Now, granted, there's a little bit different shades, but if you lived in Philly per se, you wanted to wear all their gear, you would be wearing like red and green and stuff like that. Where if you were wearing a Penguins hat, a Steeler jersey, and something else, whatever. It's all black and gold. It all runs together, and I believe that's because the city of Pittsburgh flag is black and yellow, so they probably played off of that, but I'm not too sure. But I mean, like even like without wrestling, like how influential Pittsburgh is for like music and a lot of first things. Like Heinz ketchup was created here.
Yep.
The first Big Mac was made here.
What?
Yeah.
Did not see that coming.
Yeah, we had the Big Mac Museum up here. Not the emoji, but the emoticon, the two dots and the smile was invented in Pittsburgh. That was a Pittsburgh thing. Then you have actors. You have Jeff Goldblum. You have Michael Keaton. You have bands like Code Orange. You have
Wiz Khalifa. Shout out.
I went to high school with Wiz Khalifa. I went to high school with Mac Miller as well. Yep.
The Wonder.
Yeah.
Now, going back onto wrestling, you wrestled intergender matches. Specifically Ziggy Heim, as we said about before. What are the advantages and disadvantages of wrestling a woman rather than a man?
I like it because it's a unique challenge. I wasn't so stoked on it at first. Even though my dad and I are on good terms, growing up, he would get a little bit intoxicated and get physical with my mom, and that took a lot within me to accept intergender wrestling because of that. It was too close to home, but I like it because it gives you a new challenge. Whereas where I'm wrestling someone that's my size, it's small versus small. So Ziggy is a little bit smaller than me, but it also I get to play the big man, for a change. So I like that, and I like the aspect of even though I'm a good guy wrestler, chances are most people are going to boo me because I'm fighting a girl. So how can I be a good guy and still also play into that role without having them completely turn on me? So it's a challenge. I like that. There isn't really the only thing I really dislike about it is the fact that it's so diverse, but everyone's entitled to their opinion. You can't make everyone like your favorite flavor of ice cream. So I don't like that people are trying to, oh, this isn't right. You guys shouldn't do this. If you don't like it, don't watch it.
Right. I also heard that you got to pick the brain of Jimmy Rave and Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. Could you maybe elaborate of what you've learned from them and how far that has helped you in your career?
So I try to attend every seminar that I can. And Ricky Steamboat was one that I always wanted to attend because of my fire breathing. And I actually met him at WrestleCon. And got the blessing from him to breathe fire in my entrance, which I thought was the coolest thing ever.
That is
awesome.
awesome.
I actually had one of my 8x10s of me breathing fire and autographed it and gave it to him and thanked him, everything like that. He seemed to really like it. He probably just threw it away once I turned around.
No.
But then I went to a seminar like a month later and, reintroduced myself, and he remembered me, asked how I was doing. Steamboat was, I don't want to come off as jaded or a know-it-all, but a lot of the seminars that I leave, I end up leaving struggling to find out what I learned, and that's not because I think I know everything. Let me clear the air. I think that I was trained so miraculously great by my trainer that a lot of these other trainers aren't teaching some of these things, that it's a lost art that the older guys have to teach it, and these younger trainers might not know that. So I'm very fortunate that I know a lot of the stuff that I know from my trainer. I'm super thankful. So Mr. Steamboat talked a lot about match psychology and stuff like that. And I've attended so many seminars, and that a lot of them bleed together, that I don't really remember what I learned from which. So I can't really give you that good of an answer. Looking for that, but Jimmy Rave was a unique opportunity because while I was injured, it gave me a unique situation because it was the first time that I, as a person, could go to wrestling shows and really study and not have to worry about applying what I learned to the immediate match. I could really take it in and sit on it and think and digest it. It wasn't like, okay, I learned this, I have to do this now because such and such is watching. So I was very fortunate. I got to really learn some things, and I would hop into cars because I really didn't have much going on. So I just wanted to get traveling again. And Ziggy, who's my best friend, had a show out Eastern PA, and I had friends out there, and I was like, "Hey guys, I'm coming. Do you want to hang out?" And before they arrived, I saw Jimmy Rave was there, so I sat down and spoke with him about injuries and stuff like that. And one of the things that I really learned from him, because at the time that I was injured, I was also affiliated with a company called Black Diamond Wrestling, and I was a bad guy, if you could believe it, me being a bad guy. So while I was injured, I was actually booked to wrestle there the next day after I got hurt. And while I was in the hospital bed, after being told I fractured my skull, I remember thinking, how can I work this into tomorrow's show? Not realizing that I'd be in the hospital for 6 days. But I digress. I ended up just doing a manager role to still be involved and to kind of still challenge myself. So I spoke to Mr. Rave about the manager aspect because he worked with Prince Nana in Ring of Honor. And he really taught me some spots that I ended up using to get some heat that is too boring to really explain, but just like stuff to like how to be a manager and how to get the crowd to get mad at you, and then also mad at your guys you're managing without taking all the attention, stuff like that I really was thankful that I got to pick his brain. And then I would run into him every now and then, just out Eastern PA and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm very thankful I got to pick his brain, because he's another person that I remember watching as a kid on the indie scene when he was feuding with AJ Styles in Ring of Honor. So it's just like, it's really weird to be a wrestler, because to me, I'm still that 15-year-old kid that's like, oh my God, you're Jimmy Rave, like the Rave Clash, that type of thing.
Right.
It's just really bizarre.
There's a bit of a little bizarre story between Jimmy Rave and myself. Jimmy's unfortunately had some medical issues, and it came at a time he, unfortunately, the man was in such a bind that he actually reached out to me to try and help. And just being a regular podcaster, I was like, all right, would you be open to maybe like it's like speaking about it, and just trying to do whatever we can to help him. And it's heartbreaking.
Yeah, it's very sad. I don't really want to touch on it because it's not my story.
Yeah.
But I like sitting down with him and speaking about my injury and how taken back he was by my injury, and trying to comprehend what I was going through with my loss of hearing, and then hearing what happened to him really hit me hard, because like I never want anyone to go through a tough time, but just like having that heart to heart, and then hearing that really hit me hard. But like I said, not my story. So
Kaliko, you have a question?
Oh man, he done answered every last question I done got to him, man. I feel like I'm tapping out to him with the questions. Hold on. I tap. There you go. Tap.
Scooter, you have a question?
You know, I think if anymore, and I think this is going to be a mini series.
I know it's gonna be like
Yeah.
an 8-part special.
Yeah, I have a bad habit of giving really long-winded answers, because I try to. I feel like you guys are taking time out of your day. Your listeners are taking time out of their day to listen. The least I could do is give a passionate answer and a well-thought-out answer. That with the amount of questions that I receive and the stories that I have, that a lot of my interviews tend to going really long, and I'm sorry about that.
Oh,
Oh
no.
no,
But I
don't
feel
be
like
sorry.
We
Hell no,
actually
don't
very
be.
much appreciate
We
it.
actually see that as a compliment, because
That's-
to me you can only get so much out of how did you get to wrestle,
Right.
and to me it's not about where you at, it's about the journey too. It's about the journey in getting there, and the things that make you and make and influence you. So to me, I think, and I could speak for James and Scooter, myself, and our listeners, I think that it's a welcome, because a lot of things is just like, most people are just wrestling based, like what do you do, what's your finisher, da da, who you grew up watching, and da da
Right.
da. But it to us,
It
we
goes
want to
deeper than
know
that.
you. We want to actually know you and get the people to understand, like, you're a human too. We
Right.
kind of get, and us as fans, and I could say it, we sometimes kind of get past. We look at the person as the character, and we never
Right.
think of them as the human being. And to me, I think our show, we try to get not only the character but the human being, and that's
Right.
very important to
Right.
us. That
I
is.
appreciate that. And I usually, like I said, I usually like apologize for how long I give, and then people are always like, "Oh, no, that's good. It's better than pulling teeth to get answers." But I guess I should have warned you guys that I give kind of long-winded answers. It got to the point where how long these go that I now have to limit myself on. I have to do one podcast per month now, so just because like I haven't even eaten dinner yet, and I'm okay with that. I could keep going. But like if I
Oh
do
no.
this 3 times a week, that's not good.
Oh,
I
trust.
get you.
We'll have you come back. We want you back, because I feel
Yeah.
like
Oh, without a
there's a
doubt.
lot more. I feel like there's a lot more in the stories, and that's what captivates humans and connect us all, is the stories. We
Right.
all walked in each other's shoes, or we've all been at a point, that connects us or makes it feel closer to each other. So I'd have loved to have you back. We want you back.
Oh,
I
absolutely.
Bring back
appreciate
the
that.
Phoenix. I'm already.
The
The
Phoenix will
show's
rise
not even
again.
over.
What's
So
that?
the Phoenix will rise again on Wrestling with Entertainment.
I always say that there's always the question of, oh, is such and such a good wrestler? You'll get the answer, they're a nice person. Yeah, are they a good wrestler? I am the poster child for he's a good dude. People only like me when they get to know me personally, is what I say.
Well, I liked what I've seen so far of everything
Oh,
that I've
stop it.
seen in your professional wrestling. So let's talk about your backyard days.
Okay.
It, purists were kind of, wince at it, or it's kind of a taboo genre of wrestling. But
Right.
how did backyard wrestling help you in your professional wrestling career?
Well, yeah, it was a very taboo thing for the longest time. It was even when I was a kid going to IWC, like I'd have a broken wrist from skateboarding. All the guys, the wrestlers, were like, "Oh, did you do that backyard wrestling? Ooh!" Like it was like everyone wanted to catch you doing something, and
Just to add to
legitimately,
that, what should fans know about backyard wrestling that maybe they don't know?
Well, I mean, I can only talk about when I did it. I don't know
Right.
if it's still a thing now, but when I did it, it was not like the 90s where it was lighting each other on fire, using light tubes, and jumping off roofs. When I did it, it was full of passionate people that met up on a message board, and we would host shows. So say, for example, Pittsburgh would host a show in June, Ohio would host a show in July, Indiana would host a show in August. And then it was like bragging rights. It was like, oh, the Pittsburgh company could book a better show than Ohio. And a lot of those guys, like I mentioned earlier, had training. Because pro wrestling isn't for everyone. There's a lot that goes on behind the scenes. There's a lot of handcuffing. Don't do that. We're saving that for the main event. Or don't do that. You're getting too popular with the crowd. And a lot of people don't like that. And that's fine. It's not for everyone. And, respect to them for leaving if it's not their thing. So, they would do this backyard wrestling, and it was a ton of fun. I don't regret it at all. We would go to these shows. I remember there were shows in Cooperstown, New York, in a field. Then we would wrestle, and it was always a Saturday and Sunday show, always 2 days, sometimes 3 days, in the middle of summer, and there was a creek. And in between matches, we'd jump in the creek. After the show, we would barbecue. My buddy would bring out his DJ set. We'd listen to music in the middle of the woods. We'd put up tents. We'd wake up in the morning. We'd wrestle the next day.
That sounds like a good time.
It was amazing. It was amazing. And then we all had, everyone had their thing. Like, there were hardcore wrestlers. There were technical wrestlers. There were daredevils. I was more of the storyteller character driven, because once again, if you could believe it, I was the bad guy character. So I was really devoted into telling storylines, long-going storylines that went from show to show, and by doing that, we wrestled. We didn't sell tickets or anything, but like the wrestlers that weren't wrestling would watch the show. And like I said earlier, if you could get a reaction from your friends, your wrestling friends, you could do it, in pro. So my whole idea was the stuff that I did in backyard wrestling was practice for pro. So I would practice, I would do moves that I do today that I became comfortable with. That's when I started breathing fire, was in backyard wrestling. That's when I would try certain things, and if it worked, awesome. And most of my gear that I have is from backyard wrestling, because I kept it. It's like a lot of my trunks just have my tattoo on it, which is my Phoenix logo. I was like, these are still good. I'm just gonna keep using these. So it was a real trial and error. That was the whole thing. Now, granted, injuries did happen, accidents do happen, and I kind of am upset with the fact that I will never say to someone, I've been wrestling since 2010, because that's not true. I've been wrestling professionally since 2016. That being said, I've been familiar with the art of pro wrestling since 2007, I've been wrestling people that have been trained, but that doesn't matter on a resume. And that kind of bums me out that I don't have anything to show for that. Because, when I was 120 pounds and I was super, super athletic, it was in front of my friends in the backyard, not in front of a crowd. And it's like, it's almost like I feel like a snobby, hipster. Like, oh, if you could see his underground stuff, man, so much better than pro. I feel like that at times, because, like I said, there weren't any handcuffs and I could do whatever I wanted. Matches didn't have time limits; they could go all day. The shows. So I really enjoyed it. I took a lot of risks in backyard wrestling. I have mileage on my body now because of it. It's a shame that it doesn't matter for anything in the long run. You can't look it up on YouTube well, you can, but I mean, it doesn't matter for my pro career. But yeah, I don't regret it because, like I said, it helped me get comfortable with my body and the fluidity and working in front of a crowd, a pseudo crowd, getting comfortable in a ring. That by the time I was training with Brandon K, that it was so natural to me. Like I said, it was only a student for so long that I I felt like it was so short that I was able to do the things that I'm able to do. And also, a lot of my backyard wrestling friends did the same thing I did, where they backyard wrestled and then stopped backyard wrestling and then got trained. And that helped me make connections all over the place because we would travel all over for wrestling, for backyard wrestling. So now I have friends in Chicago and Maine and Florida and wherever, which is a huge step ahead of a lot of the other rookies I graduated with. So, yeah, it was pretty cool.
Now,
That Cooperstown sounded like a Woodstock of wrestling. Like,
Yes,
just chilling.
it was amazing. It was legitimately 3 days, and it was amazing. Like, I then realized that was where the Baseball Hall of Fame was, and I never went because we went to wrestle. And we would see each other once a month, and it was like a party. It was like a reunion. And then, like, sometimes we'd have shows in Allentown, and everyone would get a motel, and we'd go to the room and party. And like I said, I'm straight edge, but, like, people would drink and have fun. It was amazing. It was like getting to live the college lifestyle without actually being in a fraternity or anything like that, just a wrestling fraternity. It was a blast. I had a lot of fun.
now you're a Pokemon guy. Who's your spirit Pokemon?
I'm actually not as big of a Pokemon fan as you think. I am addicted to Pokemon Go. I don't know any of these new characters. I played the blue version, yellow, and silver as a kid.
Yeah.
That's it.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
Game Boy joint. Yeah.
I mean,
When Pokemon Go came out, as everyone knows, it took over the world, and it was like the closest thing we've ever had to world peace. I mean, everyone was playing it, but then I actually ended up having a major accident, my second near-death experience, and I inhaled my fluid that I used to breathe fire, and ended up poisoning myself and poisoning my lungs really badly, and I had an unbelievable fever. Had it not gotten treated, I don't know what would have happened, but it wasn't good. I remember getting my blood drawn at the hospital, and the vial of blood was so hot to the touch, they had to use tongs or something like that. So it was very, very scary. Yeah, very scary. But that being said, that was in the beginning of Pokemon Go, and I couldn't breathe. Like, my lungs were not inflating at all. Like, it was only 10% capacity, and it hurt to breathe. So I was on bed rest for 2 weeks. And my brothers, when I lived at home at the time, they'd be like, "Oh, we're going to go play Pokemon Go at South Park. You want to come?" I'm like, I can't move. So all my friends were playing Pokemon Go, and I was missing out. So I really needed to catch up once I was able to. So they all now progressed. So then I was like chugging along, and then like a lot of people stopped playing, and I realized, these people are probably going to come back at some point. I want to just keep maintaining this progress. And so it gave me something to do when, like, I don't really have too many other hobbies other than concerts and pro wrestling. So it was something that was nice that wasn't taxing on my body. But then when I was injured, I couldn't go to concerts. I couldn't wrestle. I couldn't even work my Clark Kent job at the time because of my balance issues and the fact that I couldn't drive. So playing Pokemon Go actually gave me a sense of purpose that, like, I wasn't getting anywhere else. So I would go to a local park that had a little workout hike thing with balance beams, and I'd go there and play Pokemon Go, then do these exercises, my physical therapy, and it gave me something to do and, like, kept me sane. So I'm a Pokemon Go fan, but like I said, I couldn't name any of these new characters. That being said, if I had to pick one Pokemon, I really didn't ask what the question was exactly. Who is my favorite?
Who's your spirit Pokemon?
Moltres has to be the Firebird Pokemon.
Sweet. So you're legendary Pokemon.
Absolutely, yeah. But I'm also like I said, I'm also a reptile fan, so I like the lizard Pokemon. There's not many. I like the scorpion Pokemon. But yeah, Moltres is always like, that's me.
Alright, and once again, it is time for that segment. Shawn Phoenix's Bizarre Adventure. You are a pro wrestler that goes up and down the freeways and some weird, bizarre, or downright crazy things are bound to happen. Could you maybe tell us a story that fits that description?
Huh. From a road trip specifically, or from just pro wrestling?
Just a weird, bizarre, or downright crazy story.
Ooh, they're not long stories, but I can think of three right away. The
Tell
first
us-
one that jumped to my
Tell us
mind
one,
was
and we'll bring you back for the extra two.
okay. You're gonna have to remind me to tell you about the Eric Bischoff story. Then that's a good one. It's a little bit long, so we'll save that
Oh.
for next time.
Oh, damn it.
There was a time when I was in Dayton, Ohio, for a show, and we're driving back, and we stopped to get food at, I want to say it was McDonald's or something. The inside was closed, and we're looking, and we see, like, this isn't really that exciting of a story, but it's like a you had to be there moment. It was super bizarre. We're looking at the drive-thru, and some guy just walks up to the drive-thru window and starts ordering as if he was inside the building. We're like, what in the world is going on? Like, you need to be in a car. So we're like, this is really weird. And I'm not kidding. A line started to form of people outside of their car walking up to the window. And we were like, what do we do? Because we wanted to get food, but we didn't know, is this a thing they do here in Dayton, Ohio? Are we the weird ones for staying in our car? It was so weird and lasted so long that I was like Snapchatting people that were in the other car. I was like, guys, look at this. Look how weird this is. There was like 5 people in line. I was like, this is insane. So, like I said, it's not a super, super weird story. It's just like a what in the world? Are we in the Twilight Zone? If you give me more time to think about it, like for the next time, I might be able to come up with some. Usually, I'm the weirdest thing that's happening on the road. I threw a pumpkin out of a car once on the way home just to watch it explode. Ironically enough, from Dayton, Ohio. That jumps
Sounds like
to
a lot of
mind.
weird stuff happens in Dayton, Ohio.
Yeah, right. And I don't even travel there often, which is really weird. Oh man, what else happened? Oh, I remember one time I was driving back from Chicago for a show, and it was really stupid. There was a tractor trailer that said DAB on it. That's Delta Alpha Beta, and there was like a cartoon character like doing the dab, and as we drove, like we all like dabbed, and like the truck driver like rolled his eyes. Like that was weird. Why was that on the car? But yeah, I don't know. Not super weird stories. We're pretty reserved. I have good dab. I have weirder stories from backyard wrestling, not pro wrestling, because we were kids. And like pro wrestling has kind of matured me in a way where I feel like I'm constantly representing my character and my companies and my trainers that I had to mature. Because especially with society and social media, that all it takes is Shawn Phoenix caught peeing in a garbage can type thing. Then it looks bad on my company and my trainers. Whereas when I was a backyard wrestler, I was 19 years old. I didn't care. We did some pretty weird stuff. So those are some stories I'll share with you.
On a more serious note, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
I've learned to not predict anything. I have ideas where I would like to be in 5 years, but if I could predict where I would be in 2 days or 3 days, then I, in theory, should be able to predict a lot more things and have a lot more money. But I've learned life never goes the way we anticipate or planned it. So the more you try to anticipate or plan something, the more upset you're going to be when it doesn't go that way. So I've learned to just go with the flow. That being said, if you were to ask me where I want to be in 5 years, I will answer the same way you were to answer me what my goals in pro wrestling are. I just want to have fun, travel the world, stay safe, and make money. And whatever that means, if I'm achieving those 4 things, I'm a happy camper. That could mean signing a contract. That could mean being an independent wrestler. That can mean living in Mexico. As long as I have those 4 things, I'm happy. I do not base my success based on signing a contract with this company, being on TV by this time. Like, it's those 4 things that matter to me the most.
Great answer. And what is a match that people should go out of their way to see that best shows off what Shawn Phoenix is all about?
That's a difficult question to answer because a lot of the stuff that I am in the Pittsburgh area, we have a local network called IndieWrestling.us, and a lot of my stuff, the uh, uh, four companies that I work for out in this area, Cleveland, Black Diamond Wrestling, as previously mentioned, West Virginia, Rise, and IWC, and other companies are all on this network, which is cool, but it also really sucks because Pittsburgh area is kind of a black hole, because if you don't know about it, you wouldn't think to look it up. And the only people that are really watching it are the people in the Pittsburgh area. So it's not a good place to branch out to. It sucks. Like, I broke into the business with Lee Moriarty, and Lee Moriarty is taking the world by storm. Lee has been talented since 2015. Yeah, he gets better with every match, but his recent eyes on him isn't anything he did differently. It was because he got onto a network that more people could see. So, like, I've trained with him. He's always been talented. It's just a matter of being in this black hole. Now, that being said, I fully support IndieWrestling.us. I love what they do for this area. But like I said, I'm sure you guys really didn't know who I was until the Limitless thing. You know, like, it's just a different audience. So a lot of my stuff is kind of region locked, to use a video game term, within this IndieWrestling.us. And a lot of stuff that I'm really proud of is on that. I'm really proud of my return match against Atticus Cogar, but that's on the IWC Wrestling Network. All of the IWC shows are on there. I'm really proud of my match with Christian Noir, which was a match at Rise Wrestling on the Indie Wrestling Network. I've got a couple stuff on YouTube. Your best bet would be to check my YouTube channel. You could just search Shawn Phoenix Versus. There's a ton of stuff on there. I got to wrestle the late, great Tracy Smothers. Super thankful for that. I got to wrestle Barbarian from the Powers of Pain. Super incredible. A lot of scramble matches should be on there from SWO out Eastern PA. So yeah, your best bet would just be to kind of like deep dive into my YouTube channel. So that's the answer for that one. Anything free, anything that's out there, I want you guys to watch it. Now, if you feel so obligated to look into the IndieWrestling.us network, that's great, because I want other people to get that exposure. Like, I know the me versus Ziggy Heim match is free, so yes, watch that one. Maybe you'll like Ziggy Heim and look into her. You know, there's all that type of stuff, you know.
Oh, believe me, I've already looked into Ziggy Heim. Because of that match. I mean, that was, you know.
He's typing with one hand. No.
What's that?
Nothing.
I loved that match. It was such a.
Thank you.
It was such an emotionally fueled, great story that was being told in the middle of the ring.
Yep.
Thank you. That means a lot to me, because that was my third match back from my injury. And up until that point, the two matches that I did were against Atticus Cogar, who, like I said, is the Joker to my Batman, who took credit for hurting me. So those matches weren't really my style. They were more brawls. The first one was just kind of like a slugfest. The second match was a stretcher match. So this versus Ziggy Heim was the first real wrestling match I did. And some of my buddies actually came up to me after that match and were like, that was bad. I was so upset with that. You know, like, everyone's entitled to their opinion. But
oh my God, no!
Tell me that.
Excellent.
Yeah.
That was storytelling at its finest.
Thank you. To tell me that from people that I respect, you know, really hurt me, because they know what I went through, and to hear that really shocked me. So, like, I now have this perception that was bad. So to hear those nice things really means a lot to me.
And we are nearing the conclusion of this interview. So we are wrestling with the 8 questions of doom. This is speed round, or whatever you want to call it. Just fire from the hip and tell us what. Just shoot from the hip and tell us your best answer you could come up with. Are you ready, Shawn?
I'm ready.
Excluding yourself, greatest wrestler of all time.
Oh, definitely not me. You didn't have to include that. Greatest Greatest wrestler of all time. Tough question. A lot of stuff goes into that category. A lot to take into consideration. I'm gonna say Shawn Michaels.
Good answer.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Worst wrestler of all time.
I would never answer that question just based on I understand and have respect for everybody that what they do for this business. That if something isn't my style, I will always appreciate what they did and sacrificing their body. And it's all different flavors of ice cream. If I don't like their style, it's entirely possible somebody else does. So to say someone is the worst wrestler, I feel like is really disrespectful. Myself, you guys. I mean, I'm not trying to call you guys out. It's just I don't have anybody that I think is the worst wrestler ever. I don't know. Maybe like somebody that isn't a wrestler, like Snooki, maybe. But then again, okay, but Snooki has wrestled at WrestleMania. I have not. So who the hell am I to say she's the worst wrestler? Right?
I get what you mean.
Snooki.
A lot of people would measure the WrestleMania match as a level of success. Lance Storm has never wrestled at WrestleMania.
But Lance Storm is regarded.
I know, but also Lance Storm has never also been able to keep me awake. So.
Oh.
I'm sorry. If we're going to be honest, the one thing I was told throughout my time in the Indies was, Scooter, you have no charisma.
You know what? Disco Inferno. Screw him.
There you go.
Fucking Glenn.
You're main eventing WrestleMania for the World Championship. Who was your opponent?
Lee Moriarty.
Yeah.
I had my first technical match, not the Battle Royal, was me and Cassidy Stone, another local, versus Lee Moriarty and Sam Adams. Sam Adams from Eastern PA. Lee Moriarty being a graduate of my class, and the fact that he's so good, I know would be a special match. I would want that match for that aspect of it, me personally. Selfishly, me versus The Rock. The Rock got me into pro wrestling, and The Rock main eventing WrestleMania would guarantee a huge payday, so I'd make a ton of money doing that.
I appreciate your honesty.
Yes.
If you could come out to anyone's entrance music, past or present, who would it be?
Oh, Gangrel.
Ooh, good one.
Gangrel.
Oh, yeah.
So I was actually supposed to be in a tag team with Gangrel in a company in Ohio. We were supposed to actually become the tag team champions, and our character, we were gonna do, like, the only reason why we were gonna team together was because he spits blood and I breathe fire. So we were gonna do it at the same time, and like I even bought the Lost Boys. I bought all this clothing and stuff to alter my character a little bit, but it never worked out. So that is, without a doubt, one of the biggest what ifs of my career that was so close to happening. But that song rules.
It really does. Finish the sentence. Kayfabe is
art. Definitely an art. I'm sure a lot of people would say dead, dying. I don't believe that. I believe pro wrestling is the cousin to magic, and indie wrestlers are very related to magicians, and everyone knows the cat's out of the bag for magic, but a magician is able to hold your attention and do a magic trick that you, as a viewer, know is not being performed the way that they are doing it, but they're still able to hold your attention and make you say, wow, how did he do that? And that's what I think magic means now. That's the magic behind a magician, is knowing that it's not real, but still captivating people. Pro wrestling is the same way, and especially with kayfabe. The cat's out of the bag with pro wrestling, but there's still a way to get people to say, wow.
squash. Fruit or vegetable?
Squash what or vegetable?
Fruit or vegetable?
Fruit
Is it
or
a
vegetable?
fruit or is it a vegetable?
It is a vegetable because whenever I wrestle giants, it's usually how my matches go, and then I end up in a vegetative state.
Told you, boom, squash, vegetable, baby.
It's a fruit.
It's a
I honestly don't know
Vegetable.
too much. I don't consume squash often enough. Isn't it a gourd? It's a gourd, right?
Yes, but it's a because
Technically, it's a
it
fruit.
has seeds, and the seeds sprout. Anything that has seeds is considered a fruit.
But
I
except
don't see any
gourds, right?
squash trees.
No, gourds are fruits
Really?
by the scientific definition. Yep.
Well, because yeah, I thought that was the thing. Like if it has seeds and grows on a tree, where a vegetable is the plant itself, where gourds have seeds but are the plant itself.
That is a that's the next level of taxonomy.
Okay.
I love this
Admittedly,
conversation.
I don't know enough about it. I was trying to. I'm gonna have to look into that. That's fascinating to me.
Yep.
Well, you might have not gotten the question right, but you're in good graces with Kaliko Yachts. You
Because
are a member.
everybody's gonna say it's a squash. It's a freaking vegetable. Everybody.
You are officially a member of Squash Squad, so that means a lot more.
That's right.
Next question. New Japan wrestler Taichi. His ring gear gets smaller every year, revealing more of himself to the world. My question, what is the appropriate trumps the butt cheek ratio for ring gear?
That is a wonderful question. If I had a nickel for every time that was asked.
You'd have a nickel.
I think that answer changes depend on the wearer. Like somebody like Rikishi obviously showed a lot of butt cheek because that was a huge part of his character. It makes him acceptable. That being said, if somebody like Dolph Ziggler wore that, if Dolph Ziggler wore that, it'd be like, what the hell are you doing? That's weird, right? Because it's not part of his character. Where like if it goes back to if you've got it, flaunt it type thing. And then it can either be done in a sexy way or in a comedic way. So I think it depends on the character, really. I mean, Sonny Vice, excuse me, another Sonny Kiss.
Yes.
Obviously has a very nice derriere, so they show it off, you know. But if Mike Modest shows it off, that's a deep dive name. I actually meant Mike Knox. That's how I can tell this is going a little bit longer. If he shows it off, it's like, what in the world? So it depends on the person, the wearer.
Very odd connection to Mike Modest. But I have one additional bonus question.
Yeah.
Oh, 9 questions tonight. All right.
Do you think the coffee really is that damn good in Twin Peaks?
Oh my goodness. That's funny because Ziggy's obsessed with Twin Peaks. I actually. What's that?
I saw you're active on Reddit a lot, and the other thing was I uncovered your post on Reddit bookings.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, where you had posted for and it's something we very very rarely see. And that's something probably that's a question to ask her next time. That was the question I was going to ask. That was the other question I was going to ask at the beginning. But yeah, I saw your questions about scorpions and reacting to feeding videos and whatnot. And I noticed you're active on the Twin Peaks subreddit. So I'm like, is the coffee really that damn good?
Wow, you really did your homework. Holy shit. I kind of feel a little bit creeped out about the stalker level, but I welcome it. Because I don't know if I will answer the question. Are you familiar with the interviewer Nardwar?
No.
Okay, you guys, you need to look up Nardwar on YouTube. He's a music interviewer, and he is known for asking he does his homework. It's so insane. Like he'll ask people. He'll be like,
Oh, that
So-
guy, the guy who
Yeah.
interviews the rappers, and they're like, "How to?" Because
Yes.
I've
Yes.
seen that. It's like, bro, are you the feds? Yeah. I see. I know exactly what you're talking about.
His questions are insane. It's like, holy shit, you did your homework. How do you know my third grade English teacher's name? Like, he's so good. And like I've always said, I want to get interviewed by him. So I'm appreciating the level of research you guys are doing. But to answer your question, I'm sure it's delicious. I'm not a coffee drinker,
Yeah.
but you can bet if I was in Twin Peaks, I would definitely try coffee at that point. It's funny. I've actually tried watching Twin Peaks like 4 times, but always had issues with it. So finally, I was like, all right, I'm going to watch this. I bought it from my store and watched it and then showed it to Ziggy, and she became obsessed with it, like scary obsessed with it. But like, it's all I want to talk about to my coworkers and stuff. And like nobody has seen it.
Jail
But
the president.
little sneak peek. The next time Ziggy and I team, you might be seeing Twin Peaks inspired gear.
Ooh.
This suit burns good, better. Look.
What?
Yeah, the Simpsons parody.
Oh, I haven't seen it.
Mr. Burns. This suit burned better. They had the little person come in and his backwards message.
Oh, okay. I'm actually like terrified. What of my Reddit posts you saw? Like, oh shit! I hope I didn't comment on like that weird beheading video or something.
And
No, just research. Like Kaliko asked you the Scorpion stuff before I did.
Right.
So
No, that's good. I like it. That's really good.
and the last question, the main event, the thing everybody wants to know. Have you ever had a conversation with a stranger in a supermarket about Darby Allin?
About Darby Allin?
Yeah.
No.
And
I'm not a fan of Darby Allin because of some of the things that he did to one of my friends. I don't know him personally, but I'm friends with someone that was close with him, and they don't have good stories. So I can only support my friend and everything like that. You know, if Darby and I ever had a chat and he redeemed himself, you know, that's whatever. But as of right now, I'm not a fan based on what I know and how he treated my friend. So I don't really talk about Darby Allin that often. I try not to not like anyone, but you know, I have to support my friends, and if they dislike someone, how they treated them, I'm gonna be in their corner. I don't really talk to strangers often in supermarkets, especially with the 6 feet social distancing. Let's see, who have I talked to them about? Like, I talk to like my customers about stuff, like
no,
about,
it's specifically in the supermarket.
in a supermarket. Okay,
Yeah.
no, maybe at a bowling alley.
this
But
is
it
a
is the
running
correct
gag.
answer.
What's that?
That was the correct answer.
Okay, fair enough. I didn't know there was a right and wrong answer.
No, there is a correct answer. And that is the conclusion of our podcast. Thank you so
Right on.
much for an incredible chat, Shawn.
Yeah.
I don't think we're going to wait long until we have you on again. I mean, we just scratched the surface and we're already over 2 hours into this interview.
Oh boy, I'm sorry.
No, I mean that's awesome. Once again, where can we find you on social media and your merchandise?
Yes, please, if you've listened to this long enough, I would appreciate the follow. As you can tell, I drop everything to chat with people that reach out to me, and hearing that, you know, you listen to this really means the world to me. So if you want to shoot me anything, a follow or anything on social media, that's Shawn Phoenix. That's X before Shawn, X before Phoenix. That is my username on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat. That was my AOL Instant Messenger screen name when I was a backyard wrestler, and I've just been squatting that ever since. My pro wrestling tees is www.prowrestlingtees.com/xShawnXPhoenix. My Brainbuster tees, where you can find a little bit of different exclusive t-shirts, some sweatshirts, a hoodie, is brainbustertees.com/Shawn-Phoenix.
And we'll have the links to all of that in the description of the video for YouTube and Castbox. And you can catch me, Kaliko, and Scooter this Saturday on our Saturday show, previewing and reviewing the latest shows from WWE, AEW, New Japan, whatever's happening in the news. Not as of this recording, our March interviews have not been set, but you can see who we might be interviewing on our official Twitter page at Wrestling with E. We update that regularly with our interviews and what's going on in Wrestling with Entertainment. Till then, please give us a like, subscribe, and comment on our YouTube and Castbox. And you can join us in the conversation as well on our, again, official Twitter page, Wrestling with E. You can find me at JamesJ993. Where can they find Kaliko?
You can find me cursing out the Disco Inferno at I am Kaliko.
And where can they find Scooter Dust?
You can find me behind Sean's left shoulder. No. You can always find me at Scooter Dust and hold it down for the UNB network at UNBS Wrestling. And join us as we're going to have Sean back on in 15 minutes. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
For our very special guest, Unbreakable Shawn Phoenix, I'm James J. Kaliko Yachts, Scooter Dust, and you have been listening to Wrestling with Entertainment.